This is Charleston Pet Podcast, exclusively for our four-legged friends in the Low Country. Our guests will be enriching the lives of our dog and cat family members with helpful information for your furry friends. The Charleston Pet Podcast is brought to you by Mount Pleasant Pets.
Well, here we are at another Charleston Pet Podcast, and I am so excited to talk to Jazzy Jordan. Jazzy, I was on social media the other day, and I saw you got another award. This is awesome. Tell the viewers a little bit about you, okay? If you don't mind, the listeners.
Sure. I am a born and raised Mount Pleasant artist. I grew up around art. My dad is a local artist. His name's Stephen Jordan, and so art's kind of always been something that I've been interested in and doing since before I could write. I was drawing. And it's always what I've known. Like, I've always known I was going to be an artist, and it's working out pretty well so far. So
it's your passion for sure.
Yes,
isn't
I
it?
could say that.
Tell us, when people go into these different restaurants around town in different areas, tell us what they can see, how they can visit you, even though they don't know you.
I've actually done a few murals around town. So on top of the pet portraits, I do local art installations for mostly local restaurants. And I've got a few of those lined up right now. I've been very busy designing and prepping for these big projects coming up. And so I've done little murals at Sesame in Mount Pleasant, Five Loaves. I've done all the Clean Juice logos. I did a juice bar in Goose Creek. I did a huge installation at Two Blokes Brewery in Mount Pleasant. I contributed to the mural at Page's Okra Grill as well. I used to work there, so I got lucky enough to help out with that project. And I think I've done 15 or 16 restaurants. So
that's great.
And I've got 3 lined up. So
you've been honored with 6. Do I have this correct? With 6 awards for your pet portraits.
Yes.
Number 1, tell us about them, and what each award meant to you and what it was for, but also what inspires you. I want to know what inspires you.
So it's funny. I kind of accidentally stumbled into doing pet portraits. Like I said, I've done art my whole life, and I was working at Red's Ice House a few years back, and someone there, it's always funny when people find out that you paint. Everyone always has a different question. A lot of people go, "Oh, could you do this? Could you do that?" And someone who was working there was like, "Oh, could you paint my dog?" And I was like, "I don't know. I could try." I'd never painted an animal before, and it turned out really well. And then someone else there asked me to do another one. And I'd just couple every now and then. I probably did 6 that throughout the next year of that. And, but one of those 6 was, this painting of a black and white, I think he was a boxer with this big pink tongue coming out. And that was actually the first painting that I entered. We put it in the State Fair art show. We like to enter that one. My dad and I like to enter that one every year. And he took home a merit award. So we were like, oh, well, now you can not only say you're a pet portrait artist, but you can say you're an award-winning pet portrait artist. And later that same year, there's another art show up in, I think it's in Goose Creek at the Old Santee Canal Park. They do an art exhibition every year. And I put a painting, which one? Oh, I put a painting I did of my dad and I's dog that had passed away in that show. And he took home an honorable mention. So 2 awards in 1 year out of 7 paintings that I had done so far. And then the next year we entered those same 2 shows again. And I entered a painting in the State Fair that I had done for my close friend, and that took home another merit award. And then I entered this one of the funniest paintings I've done, because it's of a hairless cat and that my friend has. And I borrowed him and put him in the show, and the Santee show, and he took home 2nd place. So that was now I've won a big ribbon. It wasn't just a little merit awards are still really good, but I got a 2nd place ribbon, and that was a big deal.
That's awesome.
Didn't enter the State Fair or I can't remember if I entered the State Fair in 2019 or if I just didn't win, but we entered the Coastal Carolina Fair in 2019, right before the world shut down. And I entered a painting I had done. My friends get a lot of paintings. It helps me practice it helps me practice. And then they all have really cute dogs. So it helps grow my portfolio as well. But I borrowed a painting I had done for my friend for her birthday and got an honorable mention at the Coastal Carolina Fair. So that was number 5. I went in 3 years, I had done over 100 paintings at that point and won 5 awards. And then the first show that I entered after the world kind of opened back up was the North Charleston Arts Festival. And we entered this painting that I did of another dog with a huge tongue, and he got best of watercolor. So now I have all these varieties of awards and 6. And I think I've done 165 pet portraits, plus like 60 ornaments. And I do coasters now and magnets too. So
Podcast advertising is the new way to reach your best audience. Podcast advertising gives your business a voice of authority. Be heard. Advertise on one of our podcasts. Visit carolinapodcasts.com or call 843-345-7012.
Jazzy, when you do now that you've done so many, what do you look for? Like when you're looking at the dogs or the cats, what do you look for that you can just make them shine? What is it?
This is actually a great question because it's something I've had to learn not only to ask for, but to look for, because when I first started, people would just send me a photo and I'm like, all right, I'll try, I'll figure it out. But then every now and then you get a really crappy photo. You get a blurry photo or an old photo, and there's just not a lot to work with, which means the painting, there's not much I can do, So I always tell people to send 4 to 5 different photos because the color of the pet can vary from photo to photo, depending on the lighting, if they're outside, inside, whatever. And then it also allows me to look for the highest quality photo. And that's my goal. It's easier nowadays with smartphones and everything, but a lot of people ask me to paint dogs that have been gone a long time. And that's hard, So I do the best I can with those photos. But like this one right here is a great example because it's exactly what the photo looked like. So I tell people the higher quality the photo, the higher quality the painting, because
that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the furthest one you've done? Because not all of them can be South Carolinians dogs.
Oh.
So how far away have you painted one? Do you remember?
I think I have one in Arkansas. I've got a couple in Florida, a couple in New York, Virginia, Maryland. It's something that 75 paintings in, I was like, I probably should have kept track of this.
For those listening to this that may not be watching it, give us your Facebook page address and your web address, please.
Sure. So I am on Etsy currently. So you can just type in Jazzy Jordan Art when you go to Etsy. And then Facebook and Instagram are both also Jazzy Jordan Art. Very simple, short, easy to remember. And I'm very active. I post a lot on both of those sites. So
yeah, you are very active. It's really cool. So and yet people get to know you by what you post and how free spirited you are. That's one of the things I like. Of course, I know your parents well, so both of them are definitely free spirited. So basically, you got involved in this by an accident, as you said, almost. So and how many of the pet the pet portraits that you do, how many of those people have asked you to do portraits or what percentage or however you can answer it, the pet portraits of their other pets, like they do one and they want another one? Does that happen often?
Not as often as you would think, but I do have regular clients, which is you wouldn't think as an artist that you would have that many repeat customers. But people get a new dog or their parent's dog dies or all these things that could happen. And I've probably done there's probably about 10 people who just keep calling me. And it's great because they'll be like, hey, it's me again. Mother's Day is coming up. I got a different person
that's awesome. Jazzy.
And then a lot of people choose to just do a double pet portrait on their first go. So then they've done both animals. But what really stirred up some repeat business was last year I started doing pet portrait ornaments. So people who had already purchased a large portrait from me came back and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to have one. So then I got to paint their same dog again, or they're like, oh, we got another dog. Now we need two.
So they can see the pet portraits or the ornaments on Etsy as well?
Yes, those are on Etsy too.
That's awesome. So we all need to know, what are the names of your cats and what do you love most about your cats? We these are people listening to this that love
Should
their
I
pets.
grab one of them?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So this is Merp.
Oh, yeah.
He's like 16 pounds. He's a really big boy. And he's one of my like first paintings that I did. I normally have it hanging on my wall, but my dad's reframing it for me. I dropped it. So
that's great.
And then I have a gray tabby named Squeak, but this guy's my pride and joy. I've had him for 8 years. So he's my baby for sure. And he has no tail, which I think is very fun.
You're giving people joy. It's not that they're buying a landscape. They're buying something that's very dear to them, something that means so much to them. What goes inside your mind when you do it? How do you feel when you're handing back that portrait or when they tell you how much they like it?
I mean, it's almost indescribable because I hear all the time, oh, you captured her personality so well. Oh, it brings him back to life. Oh, it looks just like them. Like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, I paint what I see. So if you've got a good dog, you're going to have a really good painting. And it makes me like, I'm still a young artist. So I get a little like awkward when people praise my work, but it's unbelievable. Like I've done paintings for people that are really close in my life before and they'll get it and they'll be like, oh my gosh, is this what you do? Like, this is how you make people feel every day. And I'm like, especially when it's a dog or a cat or a horse that's passed, people just like, I make people cry a lot.
Jazzy, this is the gray hair talking, but there's nothing wrong with being awkward, and there's nothing wrong with taking that praise in things and humbling yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And people pick up the Mount Pleasant magazine or Mount Pleasant Pets, and they may say something about it. It's very rewarding and it's very cool. Let me ask you just talked about a horse. So what different animals have you ever done? A lizard or a reptile of sorts or a turtle or?
It's funny that you ask because I'm actually working on a snail right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a commission work? Is somebody actually has?
It's
really?
It's one of my regular customers, and she's having me do a coaster of her snail. His name is Gary. It's quite challenging because there's no fur or really eyes, or I'm having to like figure it out. But I've also done 2 horses. And then
have you done a fish? Have you done a fish?
No, I get asked a lot to do bunnies, and I've been asked about turtles and lizards, but they never follow through. So I think there are certain levels of love for your pets where you won't spend money on it. But I think dogs and cats just kind of monopolize that because people love their dogs and their cats the most.
That's true. That's true. Well, I've got to tell everybody that's listening and or watching this on YouTube that Charleston Pet Podcast.com is where you can find it all, Jazzy. But Charlie loves that. So for those that are listening or watching this, Jazzy did. I sent a picture of Charlie. Now, just so those that don't know, the magazine Mount Pleasant Pets, he publishes it. Now, don't misunderstand me. I help him a lot, but Charlie's the publisher of that magazine. For those that would like to read it, Mount Pleasant Pet Magazine, it's readpetsmag.com. But Charlie, I had Jazzy do a portrait of Charlie. And did you get a lot of comments? Oh, great. Thanks, Jazzy.
I don't know how to make it like.
No, that's great. That's great.
But there he is.
Did you like doing Charlie?
Yeah, he was fun. I liked painting his hat, and on the hat it says Mount Pleasant Pets.
He did it. You were great to work with, and he truly loved it. And as you know, he wrote about it in Mount Pleasant Pets magazine.
Yeah, he wrote a really nice article about me.
Yeah. It was really, really good. But, I've known your mom and dad forever. It's so delightful to hear and see their comments on your Facebook page when you post something. And Mount Pleasant Pets magazine is happy to have you in it. And we're happy to have you on CharlestonPetPodcast.com, Jazzy. Seriously, congratulations, and we're really proud of you for capturing all this cool pets out there you do and the joy you give people for it. It's
Thank you so much.
It's wonderful. Thanks for being here, Jazzy.
Thank you for having me. This was an awesome opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Okay, we'll be back with another podcast episode of Charleston Pet Podcast. So keep tuned to. You can find us on charlestonpetpodcast.com. Thanks again, Jazzy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Charleston Pet Podcast, exclusively for our four-legged family members. Join us next time for more helpful information for our furry friends. Catch all the episodes of the Charleston Pet Podcast at charlestonpetpodcast.com or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.